Welcome to Heartwork Heroes, a show where we have ordinary people doing extraordinary work that is passionate, heartfelt, impactful, and life changing. Today, I'm excited to introduce a guest whose journey is a fascinating blend of technology, hands on skills, and a passion for personal growth. Paul Caldwell. Paul grew up immersed in the world of computers, spending much of his early life engaging with online communities. His curiosity and love for learning led him to complete a degree in finance. However, Paul soon realized that his true passion lay in a more hands on field, which led him to switch gears and pursue a career in electrical work, a field where he excelled, even earning the highest mark in one of his courses. Paul's love for learning didn't stop there. He is deeply interested in topics like numerology, lucid dreaming, psychology, and holistic living. His thirst for knowledge and desire to share what he learns with others naturally led him to become a transition coach where he helps people navigate changes in their lives. When Paul is not working or learning, you can find him on the volleyball court, playing games, or engaging in deep, meaningful conversations. He is someone who thrives on energy and holistic living, always looking to improve not just his own life, but also the lives of those around him. Please join me in welcoming the ever curious and insightful Paul Caldwell. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, Amandeep. What a great introduction. I appreciate that. Happy to be here.
Same here, I feel the same. So, I was looking forward to have this conversation with you for a while. I wanted to. So, let's just begin. I am so interested to know that you are very much interested in lucid dreaming. I want to
Uh,
know now. Let's talk. Let's go, buddy. Let's go.
yeah, your dreams create your reality. No, so
Yeah.
there's a few theories behind it. I I resonate with Carl Jung because yeah, he's looked at the psychology part of it and yeah, he kind of integrates different things to it, but just his understanding of it, like some people say you know, certain symbols in your dreams mean specific things. And his
Mm,
interpretation of it is that, yes, certain things mean certain things, but to each individual person. So it's more your personal relationship to that object is what that means to you. And so I I I believe more of that where, it's not like X equals Y. It's more of a unique relationship to each subject and how you feel about it. And so yeah, lucid dreaming is really lucid is an awareness of your dreams. So it's really just understanding what it is that you're dreaming about and kind of making certain connections to that in your real life. Also, people say that dreaming is just really your conscious mind processing the things that you've done throughout the day. So it's more of like a deconstruction process that you do while you're sleeping, which is usually why when you dream that night, a lot of things that happen during the day, they come up. I know a lot of times I would see someone on social media who I don't talk to. I don't really like I know them, but I don't really talk to them, and then they show up in my dream. And it's like, that's weird. Like, why is this person here? But it's because, I've they're kind of there during the day and then they kind of get processed through the night. So it's interesting. And then being able to be lucid in your dreams, being able to be aware in your dreams, that's when it gets fun. That's when you get to really eh, be in control of your reality and really yeah, the world's your oyster when you dream and you can do whatever you want.
And the interesting fact is that you are aware when you're dreaming, because it goes to show you that you experience all the emotions. You're aware, what am I feeling? Is that so?
Yeah, you definitely still feel the feel. It's a level of separation from it
Okay.
because then when you're aware that you're dreaming, you then know that this isn't the reality, and so you have less connection between the emotions. Before that point, you definitely feel it, and it's like, oh no, this is happening. Oh, and you feel it so deeply. But it's when you have that awareness, it's like, okay, I know this is happening, but I know that I'm dreaming, so you kind of disconnect from it a little bit.
Okay. So it's so I was under the impression that when you're dreaming, sometimes I dream rarely,
Mm,
rare, very rare. So, but when I dream, it's usually uh something scary. I don't know
mm,
why, but something scary, or when I feel paralysis, I'm not able to move at all. You know, those kind of dreams are there too. When I don't know, they say that you're being in paralysis because I'm not sure whether this is true or not. It feels like, but I've read this that there is, let's say, a dark energy that is kind of that came to capture you or capture your soul now, and that's why you're not able to move. But you're trying your best to move. You've been in that. I'm aware that I'm trying my everything to move, but I'm just cannot. I just cannot. I'm stuck.
yeah,
So I'm sure you know what I'm saying because those kind of dreams, I think we have all experienced. So
yeah. So there's a scientific reason for that. So,
okay, let's hear it.
which
Let's
is
hear
it
it.
really helps demystify a lot of it.
Okay.
So the reason that happens is when you're falling asleep, most of the time your body falls asleep first and your brain is still a little bit active.
Makes sense.
So, which means when you're falling asleep, your brain, it's like you have a control panel in front of you and you're shutting down for the night, you're turning off all these switches and you're just shutting everything down. And then your brain's the last thing to fall asleep because it's in control of everything. So that's usually how you fall asleep. Now, when you wake up and your body's still paralyzed, it's because your brain hasn't turned these things back on. Your brain's still in a kind of like a dream state where it creates things, it imagines things, um, but your body's not able to move yet. And it does this for a good reason because if you're dreaming about running, your legs aren't kicking and your arms aren't moving while you're in bed. So it does it
Mm.
so that your body doesn't move while it's doing the processing and having all these dreams. But then something like that can happen where your body is not able to move. And some people get in that state of like, fear almost where, oh no, I can't move. I'm trapped or I am not
Mhm.
in control. And then that kind of brings you down this stream of, oh no, I'm not in control. Things are happening. I can't do anything about it. And then that's kind of when, you attract more of that and your imagination, which is still running, it's still in that dream imagination where it creates things. Having those thoughts then create something a little more spooky that you don't usually enjoy.
Now I understand what happens then. It makes
Yeah.
sense that your mind is protecting you because pretty much that's its job. Its job is to protect you, right?
Hmm.
So it is protecting you. And just because you were saying it, I was realizing, okay, I'm glad I was not moving because the people who are sleeping next to me, let's say if I'm sleeping with my wife, or let's say when I was young and I'm sleeping next to my sibling, I might kick them.
Yeah. And you hear stories where people do. They like punch a wall and there's like, ah, why did I do that?
It's funny because and now it makes sense because your mind is not only protecting you, it knows that there is somebody sleeping next to you. So I gotta protect
Hmm.
that person too. So
Yeah.
that it is interesting and fascinating at the same time. So
Yeah.
that's
And
good.
and a
Let me
good
ask
thing
you
that
this.
you can do if you're
Yeah.
in that state again is to, your body can't move, you're awake, even your eyes can be open and you might see things. You can just tell yourself, I'm in control. I'm in control of my body. I am powerful. I'm in control of the situation. And and if you just kind of keep telling yourself, I can move my body, I can move my body, you'll be able to move yourself a lot faster. So just by creating that in your mind of like, I'm in control of my body, I can move my body, everything around me is just an illusion, I create my reality, then you'll be able to like snap out of that a lot faster.
Perfect. But it brings me to the next question, which I'm now curious about. Okay, so is that a muscle that you do consciously when you're awake? When you're awake consciously, you're practicing that muscle. So what I'm getting out of it is that since you practice it during your awake hours, it helps you to utilize this when you are in your sleep. So, however, if somebody is not practicing this, what is your opinion then?
If someone's not practicing lucid dreaming, and how do they get
No, no, no,
started?
no.
Or
No, 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 no. What I mean to say is when somebody's practicing, I'm good, I'm in control. Like daily affirmations are something as they're part of life, you can say.
okay, yeah.
It's part of their day. Their self-talk is good. They talk highly about themselves. They don't let themselves feel a certain way, right? And they talk about themselves. So they have built that muscle. Those neurological pathways are built in the brain. And when they are in this lucid dreaming stage where things are happening depending upon what kind of experience, what kind of dream they're experiencing. So does that kick in automatically, or is this because you're sleeping, right? I'm just
Hmm.
thinking from the point of your conscious is not there. So does that kick in automatically?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So lucid dreaming, the word lucid is awareness. And
Yes.
so the challenge with that is that when you're dreaming, your conscious mind is shut down. It's just your subconscious mind, other parts of your brain are still active, but it's that rational thinking mind that's shut down. So that's why when you're
Uh-huh.
dreaming, you can see a pink elephant on a ball juggling, and you're just like, oh yeah, cool, the pink elephant, like whatever, yeah, cool. Oh, this is, and you're not actually like, wait a second, what the heck is going on? And
Yeah,
so there's there's different
that makes
levels. Yeah, it makes sense, right? And so when people and I say there's different levels because there's different ways that you can become lucid in your dreams. There's more um standard ways. One is just to count your fingers. So like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You look away, you look back, and you count your fingers again. If you have six now, then you have to like think, okay, I normally have 5 fingers. Now I have six, and you need to actively get that going because your rational mind is down and
Mhm.
out. It's sleeping. So you need to kind of get that going. Um, and so there's things that you can do right now when you're awake that can bring up your awareness. But when you're dreaming, it's a whole nother story because that practical, logical, rational mind
Mhm.
is asleep. So you need to kind of just ease, just get that little wedge, just get that little foot in the door that you kind of like start to question something. And you start to say, hey, wait a second, let me just see if this is how it should be. And, there's, like I say, counting your hands, you can check your watch, see what time it is, look away, look back. And those kind of things are like more, how do I want to say, more regular things or like habits that you can do. But at the higher levels of lucid dreaming, it's all about awareness. You don't do any skills, you don't do any tactics. It's just called, well, one of them is called all day awareness. So when you're going about your regular day, you're just conscious of the things that are happening around you. If something's out of the ordinary, you question it right away. So that when you're dreaming, you're used to checking everything around you so that when something's out of the ordinary, you question it. And that's how these natural, they call them like naturals, they just do these things all day, every day. Every time they go to sleep, they're lucid. every time they're like during the day, they're a lot more aware of their surroundings.
Interesting, because I'm sure you've had experiences with people who have lucid dreams too. And then do they say the same things according to you? Do you feel it's a similar kind of behavior that you're talking about? Is it similar, or is it exactly the same? Are they aware more because they are aware during the day they are aware, and that's why lucid dreaming. So goes to show you. I wanted to ask that question, so please answer that. But at the same time, I'm thinking, that means I'm not aware. I'm just thinking that.
Well, a question is, what are you aware of? Are you aware of
Okay.
your everyday reality of, okay, now I need to go to work. Now I need to do this. Next thing is I'm doing that. Or is it like because it's with lucid dreaming, it's kind of like the small details. Those are the things that matter. I mean, an author from a book I'm reading called Zig Ziglar, but in his audiobook, he uses this example. He says,
Mhm.
okay, everyone in the audience who has a watch, okay, you know what your watch looks like. You've looked at it thousands of times. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a few questions about your watch, okay? So he asks, oh, okay, what are the numbers? Are they numbers? Are they lines? Like he'd ask you, okay, well, what is it? Then he says, okay, at the 12 o'clock spot, what is there? At the 3 o'clock, what is there? So he kind of asks you a few questions about your watch, and he says, okay, well now you have an idea of what your watch looks like. Now look at your watch and see if you're right or not. Okay?
Mhm.
And then everyone looks at
Mhm.
their watch, they laugh. Oh man, I looked at this watch 1,000 times and I didn't notice that. I didn't see that. Okay? And then he says, okay, now look away from your watch. What time is it? And people don't know because they look at their watch. They're saying, oh wow, I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that. And they're looking at their watch, seeing what time it is, but they're not seeing what time it is, you know? So it's
Yes.
what is your level of awareness? What information are you taking in when you're doing these regular
Uh,
tasks that you're not fully there? Are you looking at your watch and then you look away and you're like, wait, what time is it? I just looked at my watch. What time is it? Like it's what are you
yeah.
actually paying attention to?
Paying attention to, yeah. Are you
Hmm.
focused in the moment or not?
Yeah.
Or you're watching it, but you're not here because your mind is wandering. It's probably somewhere else. Your body is here. Physically, you're here. Mentally, you're not here.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you why it is important to focus, pay attention, think.
Focus. Yeah. And so then
That's
to
good.
answer your earlier question about do are
Mm,
other people also in agreement with this? I believe so.
okay.
I've been in lucid dreaming communities, and a lot of
Okay.
people. Some of those stories are just so interesting. I'll have to tell you about them later. But
Okay.
yeah, a lot of the ones at the higher levels who are just naturals who just do this every day, it's either just they've always done it and it's not something they think about, it's just something that happens all the time, or it's just the level of awareness that they've had. They've
Mhm.
built up this yeah, for lack of a better term, awareness. Like awareness is just they've just developed this level of awareness and just attention to not and it's not just attention to little things, it's just paying attention really. And
Okay.
it could be a
Yeah.
variety of different things. It's just what are you paying attention to? And
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of them, if not all of them, have that. And yeah, that's really all it is. It's having an awareness.
When was the first time you became aware of lucid dreaming, or was it right from when you were a child?
No, it's I'm trying to think where it started. It was definitely a few years ago, not when I was early on. Like some people, ever since they were kids,
Hmm.
the first dream they had, they remembered it, and they were it was as if you were you right now. Like it was just like
Mhm.
they're living their life, and they just had that awareness from day one, and they just do it naturally.
Wow.
For me. I think I was in this spiritual community, and
Uh-huh.
lucid dreaming was one of the topics, and
Okay.
I I think it was a little bit before then. I liked Carl Jung. I knew some of the stuff he did, and so it was kind of like interesting to me just understanding your dreams. And so then I was like, well, I can understand my dreams, or I can just do whatever I want in my dreams. I can fly, I can, do all these crazy things, like whatever you want. And then it kind of like started to get interesting, and I started to dive into it, join more communities, talk to more people about it, and yeah, learn all these techniques and different things. It is a lot of work
Yeah.
because, it's being aware not exactly all day, every day, but you have to kind of set reminders for yourself of like, okay, like people set alarms on their phones of like, okay, are you aware right now? So then you need to stop and be like, okay, what am I doing right now? Is there anything strange in my vicinity, in my environment? What's going on? Check the time, so it takes a lot out of your day. Um,
Hmm.
to some people, it's worth it. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel you enjoy paying attention and setting those alarms and say, "Oh, what's happening? What's happening? Where am I? Am I dreaming while I'm awake? Okay, I'm just having fun." Let me ask you this. Okay, so we also talked about that when we started the show. We also talked about your that you have interest in numerology, right? So let me know how exactly um, and I want to tie this with lucid dreaming too. Okay, so let me know how. First of all, tell me how did you get into numerology? What happened? How did you figure? Okay, this numbers game is interesting for me. So
I'm a numbers guy.
yeah, numbers guy. And also we had this 88 22 2024 just
Mm,
event just a day ago, I guess 2 days
yeah,
ago. And
Lionsgate.
yeah, Lionsgate. So I want to know when did you get exposed, let's say, to numbers and then the field of numbers and the study of numbers, numerology. And then I want to also know this, Paul, that how does, if it does, I don't know, if how does lucid dreaming help you with, let's say, your career or your relationships or your money, finances, right? Your business. I want to know that. I really want to see the connection. If it is there, it is interesting for me to know.
Mm.
Let's
Let me
so
see
let's
if I
start with that.
remember all the questions.
Okay, I'll start with
So,
the first one.
yeah, so
Let's talk with
first,
the yeah.
numerology.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so again, I wasn't really exposed to these things early on. Um,
Okay.
it was only like in the last decade, that's when my life really started. Um,
Okay.
and so with numerology, it was more, I got into personal development. I started to get into a more spiritual side of it. Asking is Given by Abraham Hicks got me more into like a spiritual side of things. And I joined, online communities. And it started with, they call it angelic numbers, which is pretty
Mm,
much just when you're going about your day, if you check the time and it's 11:11, or if you see a bus and it's numbered like 222, or
mhm,
you just see a string of numbers and it's the same number 333. It's usually in threes, um, but you see those string of numbers, and I would see that a lot. Like
okay.
it was like a daily thing, and then I heard about angelic numbers, and I'm like, or angel numbers. And I
Mm,
was like, this is okay, this is weird. Like, what do these mean? And you can look into the details of them and what each specific number means in angelic or angel numbers. Um,
mhm,
but that happened for a few years. And then it was a little bit later that I kind of heard about numerology, and I was just
mhm,
like, huh, that's interesting. And this is after I had an understanding of the universe. And the universe is people think all these things just happen and, it's just a big ball of randomness. The universe is so precise. If you look in nature, it's always the golden ratio. It's always mathematics. It's an equation. It's specific things that are happening. And so if you think of the universe like that as math pretty much, well, the numbers make sense because without the numbers there is no math. So you
Mm-hmm.
need to have both of them. And so that's when I started to really look into numerology and just get excited about it because it's like, oh, well, the universe is all math and numbers and equations. So we assign values to these numbers, whether we assign them or they were, you know, have that energy to them, there's still something there. And so that's kind of like how I started to get into it. Um, Part of why I'm so excited about it might be because of my numbers. I have interesting ones. But yeah, so I got interested in that. And then I believe your next question was how does lucid dreaming tie into
Yeah.
other?
Even numbers. How does what's the significance of let's talk about let's say your life number, right? And you see your life number and you see that it actually is what my path is. I can see my life path. I can see what's happening. I can see where am I heading after 40. I can see why am I this way because of my numbers. I can see it. So
Yeah,
I've done some. I could say I read this book by Glynis.
Linus
Glynis has your
McCants.
number. Yes, mechanics. I read that book. A very fascinating book. Very fascinating book. And some of the things were head on because my life path number is 8.
Yeah, it is.
And then when it was Lionsgate for me, and my life path is 8, and at the same time, this year is 8 for me. This year is number 8, right? This
Yep.
year number
2024,
is 8.
224.
Yes, and my life path is 8. So this is an important year for me, right?
Mm.
So when I went for that Lionsgate, I'm like, okay, I gotta pay attention here, what's happening. So and you were there
And
too, I remember.
also, I believe, do you know much about Chinese astrology?
Not yet.
Okay, because this is also your year.
Yeah,
Just,
exactly.
just, uh, just to bring it together.
Oh wow, that's I don't know if I just know this one thing that I am I I don't know
Dragon.
am I a horse or am I a snake as per Chinese astrology? I don't know that. But anyway, um I know there are certain things which are compatible. Like what I've seen that snake is not compatible with, let's say, rat, horse is not compatible with snake,
Yeah. So
something.
in Chinese
Yeah,
astrology, there's, I believe, 12 signs, similar
yeah.
to Western astrology. But
Mhm.
there's what's called trines. So whatever your trine, Trine, so whatever your sign
Okay,
is, 4 years, both like ahead of you and behind you, are ally signs. So if yours is
okay.
here, you have two ally signs, 4 years ahead and 4 years behind. 6 years, so straight ahead of you, is your enemy sign. So that's the basics of Chinese astrology. And so
Okay.
because there's 12 signs, every 12 years you go through all the signs and you get back to your sign. So every 12 years, when you're 12, 24, 36,
6,
48
40.
is your year again.
Oh, okay. So I am 36 actually right now.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So the next year would be 48. Yeah. And then it would be 60.
Yeah.
And I
But again,
and I
and then they say you have ally signs, so it's not like your only good years are once every 12. And it's not like your only bad years or your enemy years, but like there's a certain energy there, just like numerology, there's a certain energy there where,
Mhm.
things are more inclined to go a certain way because there's energy behind it.
Perfect. So let's talk about this now. How has lucid dreaming and numerology helped you with your career? Has it helped you to pick up your career? Choose your career? Because you started off with obviously learning about technology, and then you
Hmm.
decided, hands-on approach is the one for me. and then you went into electrical field, right? So I know you're an apprentice right now, but has it helped you? Has the numbers and lucid dreaming, has it helped you to choose this profession?
Yeah, so early on, I was always kind of wanting to discover me. I wanted to understand really what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were, what I enjoyed. And so I kind of defaulted into finance. I just said, "Oh, I want to learn how to manage my money, so whatever I do, I'll know how to kind of be good financially." And and so then when I really asked myself, what is it that I really want to do? Because I love energy so much, I was just like, well, let me get into something that is like more energy. And I wanted to do something more physical where I could get stronger and build my body because I
Mhm.
appreciate having a strong and healthy body. And so I went into um, electrical and an energy field because it, and again, it's kind of something that I just felt inclined to do.
Mhm.
I very much, we talk about Heartwork Heroes. My first hero was Nikola Tesla. That guy is just way
I
ahead
was
of his
about
time.
to ask you about him. I was about to bring him because he does talk. It's now that you have mentioned it, it's so amazing because we are talking about numbers, and he kept 369 as the secrets of the universe.
Hmm.
At the same time, you are in the field of electrical. So you
Yeah.
see how this is being connected. Please carry on. It's so fast. Now, let's talk.
Yeah. Oh, now I can't stop laughing. Yeah, getting into electrical numerology, lucid dreaming, lucid dreaming is having awareness of your surroundings, which helps very
Uh-huh.
much in electrical. Um,
Mhm.
and then numerology, it's not so much that it helps with my career because the career is definitely more math. And I can see certain numbers that come up, but numerology has helped more with relationships and more with my
Mm.
personal life about,
Mhm.
you can price things based on numerology. You can,
Yeah, yeah.
and to not let your life be dictated by a certain number, but you can do things on certain days that this day has a certain energy behind it. So the chances are that you have a better result doing certain things on certain days. So just to use that, I mean, hey, I like to use everything to my advantage I can. So
Yes.
if everything is numbers, everything is energy, why not use that to your advantage? And
Makes
so,
complete sense.
yeah, having an awareness in your real life is definitely great. And then using the numbers to your advantage and yeah, doing all that is yeah, it just brings it all together.
Let me ask you this. You just talked about pricing your let's say service or product with numbers. Uh, uh, do you quote your charges in the from that point of view?
Well, if you know this and if you don't, then you're not really using it, are you?
Makes sense. Makes sense. So it's all about whether you know or you don't.
If you know, you
But I've
know.
seen this one thing common with some of the superstores. They have this thing. You could see it that they how do you how you can see that 3.50 is the product is the price for this product, which is basically eight
Yeah,
and basically eight, right? So all you'll see it is it's for $26.00, right? So it's still eight. And it's weird to see why 26 or why 35, but
yeah.
now it makes sense because it's eight. That's
Yeah,
why.
once you kind of pull behind the veil and kind of have a basic understanding, then you can see where it all goes to. They used to price things in 99. Oh, like, oh, it's not $25, it's 24.99. Oh, it's so much cheaper. And some places changed it to 88. So it's now 88 cents or 98
Mhm.
cents.
Yeah.
So it has that eight in there. Or,
Yes.
they make the sum total an eight. So you can kind of see them realizing that
Playing with it.
there's something here, so let's use this to our advantage.
And it's a learning lesson because if the big companies can see and they're profiting out of it, so why not? It's a real life example that people are using it and people do believe. I read this somewhere else. I don't know if it's true or not, but I just read somewhere where a lot of people who are, let's say, doing really well in life and they are influential people, they utilize all this information. They have this in their field, they have this in their field, not in terms of aura around them, but in the field of like the professional field that they are part of or in their businesses. They use these things and it does work.
Hmm.
It depends upon maybe if you are willing to give it a chance or maybe try it out. I don't
Yeah.
know. But if everything is energy and numbers are also energy, so why not, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, they say millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do.
yeah,
Because
I heard this
that's
exactly. Yes.
yeah, because it's like a certain level, like are you willing to put your beliefs to the side and maybe just try something else, or to actually see what's actually working, whether you believe it or not, see that there's validity there and use it. Another great real life example is the stock market. There's
Hmm.
something called the Fibonacci, like
Sequence.
Fibonacci sequence, yeah.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time when you go to look at dips or spikes in the market, if you line it up with a Fibonacci sequence, it's going to hit one of these very important ratios. And so you'll
Mhm.
see it like it'll literally just touch that ratio, then swing the other way. Or like once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you start to see
Exactly.
1111 or 222, then you can't unsee it. And so there's times when I didn't see some of these numbers, and it was times when I was so busy in the day to day, when I wasn't
Mm,
really taking time to really like
mm,
stop and think and be in the moment. And then there's
yeah.
other times when I'm seeing it constantly. And
Mm,
now when I see these numbers, like in the time or something, I don't see it so much as like, oh, well, this means this, or oh, that number
mm,
means that, so this is gonna happen. It's more like, okay, I see these numbers, I'm present. Like I'm in the
mm.
moment,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm lined up. I'm where I should be.
Okay. That is good. I love the fact that you mentioned that earlier. Since I was aware, I was paying attention, and that's why I could see them. And I could focus, I could pay attention. I was not rushing.
Hmm.
Basically, I'm just paraphrasing what you're saying, but I was not rushing. I was aware of what I'm doing, right? But for the people, let's say, who are listening to this, let's talk about helping, giving them some guidance here. Um,
All for the
uh,
people. Let's help them
eh,
out.
yeah, yeah, and since you're listening to this as a viewer, it's totally. We do tell to use discretion and use your discernment, but
Hmm.
but it does help. I've seen it personally. Paul is also telling you. But let's talk about how it is important to be aware in your day-to-day life and not a rush. I want to use this question to help my viewer know that it is not about being in the let's call it matrix. It's about unplugging from the matrix,
Hmm.
and that doesn't mean that you cannot live in concrete jungle and there is no way for you to unplug living in concrete jungle. There are ways of you living here and still being unplugged, or if you want it on a very different scale, then you can probably leave this and go to the woods and do it in a very different way. However, let's talk about why is it important to unplug? Why is it important to be aware uh, of of you first? Why?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Um, I used to think that you need to plan your whole day and, make sure that you get things done. and be on top of things. And this is just a quick diversion. And I think it's also important to have space for things that you don't plan for, because that's usually when the magic happens. When you let outside things come to you that you've been asking for and make space for that. And so having an awareness in your own personal life is good because, and I want to say an example, and it's a specific example. This isn't to say that anyone who comes with you with an opportunity is a good opportunity. But let's say someone comes to you and it's someone you know, and they're like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing, and you know, I think it's going to be really great, and I want to see if you want to join." And maybe you feel good about it, but you're like, "Oh, you know what? I'm busy with other stuff. Like, I don't want to do it." So, if you're not aware that an opportunity is in front of you, then is the opportunity really in front of you? If you're not aware that $100 bill is at your feet and you're staring at your phone instead and like playing a game or talking on social media, well, then it doesn't matter if there's a penny in front of you. You're not going to be aware of it, you know? So it's
Yes.
about being aware of what's happening around you to be able to see opportunities, to be able to make connections with people. Maybe you see someone that needs help, and if you're just in your own world of like, oh, I need to get this done. Oh, this is next. Okay, I'm going here. I'm going here. Well, then you're not open to those situations. And so you're not letting these things manifest that maybe you've been asking, maybe you're looking for a great relationship, and you go on the bus and you sit down beside this beautiful woman who could be your perfect match, and you sit
Yeah.
down, you pull out your phone, and you're just on your phone. Well, are you ever gonna have a connection with this person? No. Like, you need to have an awareness of what's around you, and then secondly, once you have an awareness, you need to do something about it. There's a
Yeah.
story of you sit down at a table at a restaurant and you say, "Oh man, I'm so thirsty. Oh, I'm really thirsty. If only I could have some water. I'm so thirsty." And your glass is sitting there empty. And then the waiter comes by and they take the jug and put it on your table. And you're like, "Oh, I'm so thirsty. I wish I had some water right now." Well, you have
Mhm.
water. The opportunity came to you. Pour yourself a glass and take a drink, you know?
Take
You have
action.
to
Yeah.
do something about that.
So, Paul, let me ask you this. In your experience and in your understanding, right? When you've had your day planned out, and I'm sure that's one of the things we all, people who are really looking forward to achieve goals, they have that, right? They
Oh, and
they
I'm an
have,
organized person. I
yeah,
have my daily planner right here. You're in the schedule. I'm there.
yeah, exactly. So let me ask you this. In your plan your work your plan, do you have some, do you plan some portion of your day as, okay, this is unplugging time?
Yeah, so I've heard two different ways of this being done.
Okay.
One is what Elon Musk does, where he does time blocking. So he says, okay, from here to here, I'm doing this. From here to here, I'm doing that. And he jam packs his schedule. In that
Mhm.
case, you can have a time where, okay, leisure time. I do whatever I want. If I decide to read and do something productive, fine. If I decide to do absolutely nothing and binge watch a TV show, fine. Then there's another way where it's okay. And I mean, there's other people who have talked about it. There's a book called Eat That Frog, and it's by,
Either
I believe, yeah,
Brian
Brian
Tracy.
Tracy. Yeah. And he says, okay, just what do you need to get done today? Okay, A, B, C, D. These are A priorities. These are the
Mhm.
four things I need to do today. Get them done. The first thing first, second thing. Once they're done, do whatever you want. So you
Mhm.
can either time block, have a schedule of like, okay, this is my leisure time. I sit outside and read, I go for a walk, I go shopping, do whatever, or I get these things done and then I can do whatever I want. It can be leisure time, it can be more productive, but it's to have that flexibility in your schedule and not just jam pack it with, I need to do this, I need to do that, because then sometimes that creates like a negative feeling of, oh, I need to do this. Oh, and if I don't do
Mhm.
it, then I didn't succeed for the day and I feel like a failure and I didn't get enough done. And then that creates a negative emotion attached to it. And then that can kind of like spiral you downward. So it's good to care that you get stuff done, but not that much that you fill up your whole day and don't have any time to just reward yourself.
Interesting, interesting. Because the way I do it exactly like Elon Musk. I jam pack my day. Everything is packed. Right after this, I'm going for gym, for a workout. Right. So my day is packed. There are no breathers, I would say, in between. My breather is if I feel when I'm working, I feel okay, I need some time, then I'll keep the things out. And then even if that day, but it depends. If it's a deadline work, I'll have to finish it today, then there is no breather there. However, if there's something like, let's say, if I am trying to achieve this goal, I'm working towards achieving a goal in my business. So it requires me to do A, B, C, D, but it's not an A priority. It's still A, B, C, D. I have to do those things, right? So I finish those, but at the same time, let's say I'm at B and I feel, okay, you know what? I'm feeling slightly peeved right now, and I'm slightly feeling like or occupied. It's just overwhelming. Let's say I'll put it this way. So then I take a break. Okay, I need a breather here, and I'll go for a walk, or maybe I will just stand in the balcony and look outside. Just look far away,
Yeah.
not in the vicinity, but far away, just to feel good. So,
Hmm. You have that
so
flexibility, it seems like.
yeah. I want, and it goes by the feeling, I would say, right, Paul? Do you go by a feeling as well here? Because the reason I'm asking you this is because it's, in my opinion, it's a myth that production means you're hamming, just bam, 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 bam. Not that you won't get things done, but is it really getting things done or allowing things to happen?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you're not working, like you just said. Doesn't mean that if the water is in front of me, a jug is full of water, I'm just thirsty. Well, pour yourself a glass of water.
Yeah.
So, so you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, so there's talking about, um activity with accomplishment if you confuse the two. I have two examples. One is Andrew Carnegie, which I'm sure you're familiar with. He did not work. He was the richest. He was a
Yeah.
billionaire. He built marble libraries. Like to this day, you couldn't imagine anyone building a marble li
Mm,
like billions of dollars.
yeah.
And he he worked just regular work days. When he went home, and he was like the CEO of the company, the biggest steel company in the world. When he went home, he spent time with his wife and kids, with his family. He did not let anyone bother that time. On the summers, he went away, and back then they didn't have phones or anything. You couldn't get in contact with him
Yeah.
for like 3 to 4 months. And he was still the richest man in the world because he understood that it wasn't hard work that got things done. It was what you thought. It was your thinking of letting things happen, of creating it in your mind first, which would then, when you're feeling good, you then create it in your physical reality. And there's another just quick example. I mentioned Abraham Hicks, asking it is given. In that book, there's a process, and I don't recall right now what the process is called, but I think it's the table map process. And
Okay.
it's where you make two charts, things for you to do and things for the universe to do. So,
Oh, That's
So
interesting.
things for you to do is like, okay, I need to, I don't know, pay my bill. I need to finish this project, whatever, whatever, whatever. Things for the universe to do is like, oh, okay, well, I need to have a conversation with Amandeep. Oh, I need to, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. And in this example, Esther is doing this, and while she's creating these things for the universe to do, she then finishes it, and the person that she put on the universe to do was to call someone, and they called her. She didn't have to call them, they called her.
Oh,
So when you
wow.
allow for some of these things to happen, things can happen. Now, you
Wow.
meant,
This is fascinating because I have the book here. I usually keep it next to me all the time. This is the book that we are talking about, by the way. But yeah, it's I never read that. I know it could be the process part of the book, not the earlier one, the
yeah.
second part of the book. I
For
never
any
read that.
for anyone listening, if you are feeling a certain way about something, if you're struggling with something, if you just don't feel as good as you want to, go through some of these processes. They
Correct.
are life changing. I
Oh yes.
and there's 22 of them, whether you're feeling absolute depression or whether you're feeling absolute bliss, there's a process for you.
Yeah,
Rampage of
this is
appreciation, baby.
highly recommended book. Please get this book. Your life's problems. I'm using the word problems. I didn't say challenges or situations. Your life's problems can be turned into challenges and situations through this book.
There won't be problems anymore, that's for sure.
It won't be problems anymore. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is good. I love that. I love that. I'll have to look that up because I didn't go. The one that I practice the most is Book of Positive Aspects.
Hmm.
That is the one that I practice the most. It's just being grateful about things around you, and it gets you back into your feeling good state,
Yeah.
right? And one thing I want to talk about. I always wanted to talk about this. What would you say to people who are plugged in? And in my definition of plugged in is just in their phones and always connected to technology.
Mm.
They're just plugged in, always plugged in, texting somebody or getting an email, replying to them, or they're always giving themselves out in terms of, okay, here's my piece, here's my portion for you, here's my portion for you. And they're just plugged. But my opinion is it's plugged out. You're not plugged in. Plugged in is a very different concept. You're plugged out, basically.
Yeah.
Please care to explain what I meant there. I know you felt it. I know you understood what I mean, but let's hear what you have to say here.
Yeah, so like you say, plugged in can be it can mean the complete polar opposites. Plugged into the system, plugged into technology, and really just like, it's like the Matrix. You're plugged in, you're in there. That can be one meaning of it. The other meaning can be plugged into what's actually going on, really like
Oh, wow.
plugged in to the energy that's all around us. Um,
Yeah.
and so there is so many things that you can say, that you can do to help you really get plugged in. Um, uh, essentially, it's really up to the person to get there.
Mm,
If you're always on your phone, if you're always, you know, plugged into that, one thing, and I just visited BC recently, and my cousin has on his phone, I don't know what the app is called, but every once in a while, whatever he's doing, it stops him and it says, take a deep breath. If you're always staring at your phone, that is probably the easiest thing you can do is have this app that shuts down everything and says take a deep breath, and it has a timer so that
mm,
you need to stop, and then just even right there, you feel it, and
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
you just it's like a reset, and then you can go about doing whatever, but just that little thing will start the ball of momentum from going. And there's so many other things you can do. You can start to meditate 5 minutes a day. You can, I mean, a rampage of appreciation. That's process number one, which is the
Mhm.
most powerful
Yes,
one. You can do
yes.
that. You can start reading books about positive things. You can be out in nature. You can just go to the beach, take off your shoes and socks, just connect with the ground. Because,
Mm,
learning more about energy, I know that our bodies are magnets. We have energy inside of us. And when we get off balance from not connecting to the ultimate battery, which is the earth, then we start to kind of demagnetize. And so wearing rubber soles all the time, not really touching the earth, will start to lead us further and further away from that, balance and that connection. So just in the
mm,
grass, take off your shoes and socks and just put your feet on the ground for a minute.
mm.
And again, people might say that this is like, they used to say, oh, tree huggers, as if like, oh, you're a tree hugger, and kind of foo-foo that away. But then recently they've discovered that it is actually a thing that you could do is when you hug a tree, the tree is connected to the earth. So when you hug
Mm,
it, you're then balancing out your um, electrons essentially, and
yeah,
then you're then bringing yourself back into electrical balance. So,
yes.
you can just like numerology, you can foo-foo
Mhm.
that away and say, "Oh, this is weird. What are you talking about numbers? The reality is this and that and blah blah blah." But it's like, okay, well, are you willing to have an open mind to certain things and expand your awareness a little bit and to understand that you might not know everything there is to know.
Exactly. And it's fascinating now that you have brought me to a conclusion here. Not to end the topic, but to my conclusion. There was something in my mind. But think about this: when people say, well, what's the point of doing all this tree hugging and all that, right? And then you've been foo-fooed or you're made fun of. But at the same time, you say, okay, let me ask you this: what is reality? What is reality? Oh, reality is I got to do this. I have bills to pay, I have rents to cover, and all of this. Yeah, I mean, not saying that's not important, but what is reality, my friend? What is it? Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
If you know, it's a different ball game then. And that's why I think what you're saying will be easier to understand when you realize what the true nature of reality is. And I highly recommend finding out because your senses deceive you, my friend.
Yeah. Everyone's their own universe, and until you can zoom out from your reality, until you can zoom out from this is the only thing that matters. But if you look at yourself and you zoom out to your town, okay, well, how important are you now? And you zoom out to your state or your city or province, okay, how important are you now? You zoom out to your country, how important are you now? If you zoom out to the earth, can you even see yourself? Like you're
Yeah.
so nil that do these things really, 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 really matter? Like what really matters?
Wow. Never thought like that, Paul. But that's a good analogy to understand your and not that what you're following or what you want to do, if it's not making you happy, then obviously switch it. But at the same time, paying attention to what you're doing in front of you. The right way is like how you said, see yourself from outside Earth and see what you're doing. Does it really matter? Does it
Mm-hmm.
really? Or you're giving your whole energy to it, but it does it really matter? Or if you don't want to do it, just my understanding, if you don't want to do it, just bring yourself back here, but understand, follow your bliss. Where exactly is your bliss? Just follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Why not do things that make you happy? and forget about all this BS that we have on the internet. And that's why it's really important. Though we are using technology to talk to you right now. Yes, Paul.
Technology is
Yes,
great.
yes, yes. But at the same time, being aware that it's not through technology that you will achieve what you're wanting to achieve.
Hmm.
It's through unplugging that you will achieve what you're wanting to achieve. To
Yeah.
know more, ask and it is given. Here's the book.
Yeah.
Or, please go ahead. Yeah, you had to say
I was
something.
just gonna say an experiment people can do. I talked about like zooming out.
Hmm.
Another thing you can do is, let's say you're really struggling with something.
Uh,
So for those of you who don't journal, take a piece of paper, take a notebook that's empty, and just write today's day and journal about it. Write it down. Look back at it in 1 year, read it, and you'll be like, really? This is what I was so upset about? This is what was engulfing my world? Like this little thing that I has no effect on me right now. And it's when you kind of put things in perspective. Like when I first journaled, I don't do it every day now, but I used to do it
mhm.
quite often. Looking back at those things, I was just like, really? Like this this was so important. Like it's nothing now. Like it's so funny once you put things in perspective.
That makes sense. Yes, that's good. Paul, I know this conversation can go on, and I'm really enjoying the conversation, but at the same time, I understand time is of essence here since we are on this planet. Just going out there.
Science space reality.
Since we are in this time space reality, we have to go by the agreements that we have here. But it was a pleasure having you today. I really want to know more because there have been so many questions that were popping in when you were talking, and we
Part
just
two,
don't
look
have.
out for it.
Yeah, part two. Part two is where I would want to know a little bit more about not only this, but I wanted to talk about holistic living as well, because I learned a lot today from you. There was so many things that I now have a different perspective to look into what I am doing, right? And I really appreciate your time today. And I love the fact that you have told me that unplugging is key. And I love those two things that you talked about, the Elon Musk's way of productivity, and then there's the other way. And I'm more inclined to go the other way because this is good and you can achieve, but at the same time, this is where you feel overwhelmed too. Sometimes it happens, and that lack that you talked about, that lack happens sometimes when you feel, oh, I couldn't finish this. I need to do this.
Yeah.
I need that neediness is where you'll start vibrating that, and that's and by the way, since we are about to finish, I always like to do this. There were a lot of things here that we talked about that we have learned, both of us have learned from a CD series that I like to always promote. And I'm not making any commissions out of it, but just to let you know, this is just out of goodwill. But this is where we learned everything that we know right now. So my suggestion, please go ahead. We have these things are right now. I don't know exactly if there are physical copies left, but go to yourwishesyourcommand.com and
Yeah.
get yourself this course, or go to yourwishyourcommand.com and learn how the person who gave us this information changed his life and how he is helping others too. So there are, I'll be putting the links in the description below for you to see. But this is where our lives changed, and we are just trying to pay it forward now so that we can impact your life and change. Hopefully, give you that spark so that you can lit up your own fire.
The electrical spark.
Yeah, electrical spark, as you say.
Yeah.
Yes. Always
And
a pleasure having. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to say, you talk about the two levels or the two different ways to organize your day. And it's important to know that there's not one way to do things. It's
Mhm.
about finding what works for you. And another
Yeah.
thing I just wanted to touch on because you asked it, um, is you said feeling good. And for years and years and years, I didn't really care about how I felt. It wasn't something that I was conscious of, but it was through Your Wish, Your Command that I realized the importance of feeling good. And now I will never be the same.
Exactly. These are the two books, guys.
Buy them on Amazon or Spotify and your Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. There were so many nuggets. I would highly suggest you to re-listen to what we talked about here. Actually, what Paul talked about. I was just listening. There were so many nuggets here, but it depends whether you're aware. And for the awareness,
I love it. I
again,
love
I
it.
don't make any commissions out of it. This is just out of goodwill. I really want how my life and how Paul's life was impacted through these courses. We really want to pay it forward. My intention is to do that. So I don't make any commissions out of it. This is just out of goodwill. So, Paul, it was a pleasure having you today on the show. We had such a beautiful and
So
meaningful
much fun.
conversation. This was so much fun. And I look forward to meet you on this Friday. And then hopefully we have a potluck coming, right? For the chapter for the book club call that we have.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that is next
it's on
the
19th.
19th. Yeah,
19th, yes.
yeah.
So that day is when I'll dive deep into some of the conversation that we've had today. All right, Paul, it was a pleasure having you today. Thank you so much for your time. And if you're watching this, feel free to drop your comments below. Let us know what did you like, and hit the subscribe button and
Hmm.
give us some love.
Like,
Thank you,
subscribe, and
Paul.
push the notification button.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
Yes,
so much,
sir.
Amandeep. Sending you love.
Okay.
It was great. And I hope everyone watching, you expand yourself just a little bit more.
A little bit. That's it. That's all
Just
you need. A little bit more.
1%. That's all you need to
Yeah.
do.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Appreciate your time and have a good day, rest of the day.
Thank you, sir. You too.